Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think with what we got coming back, one thing that we've always had as this offense the last 2 years is a next man up mentality, and a lot of that usually pertain to injuries. And if a guy goes down, it's always, all right, hey, next man up, you got to go in and perform at that level. But I think it's the same thing pertains to guys graduating and moving on to the next level and finish up their time in college. And I think that's something that we've been able to bring with us this offseason is that, listen, the standard is the standard. That's what that championship standard. That's what we have always operated to, and we're not going to lower that because a guy like Saquon is gone. Like that's what we expect out of our running backs, and that's what they expect out of themselves. And the same thing goes for receivers, and even quarterbacks. What I expect out of myself, and what Tommy expects out of himself, and what Coach Ronnie expects out of him. I mean, that's how we've operated the last 2 years, and I don't think anything's going to change. So, I mean, with what we can expect this year, I'm looking forward to, some new guys getting opportunities, being able to show what they got, and they've been chomping at the bit a little bit for a couple of years and been behind some guys. So I'm really looking forward to those guys finally getting their opportunities and be able to go out and show what they can do.
James said today that he's expecting you to have more of a role during the week in terms of how to attack opponents, getting you working together more. He said that you're excited about that. So what do you anticipate doing there, and why the approach there?
I think it's something that, with it going into my 5th year and having the experience that I do, it's something that it's a way that I could take kind of my game to the next level. It's being more involved as far as a game plan perspective that, I'm able to be around. I graduated, so I'm kind of taking a little bit of a lighter load and able to kind of be around the building a little bit more during the week. Got a couple of days off, specifically so I can try and be in there watching more film and be able to bring new ideas to Coach Ronnie earlier in the week and things like that. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to. It's an aspect of my game that I haven't necessarily been super involved in. It's something that I want to start doing a little bit more this year. He's as big a competitor as you'll ever hear. I mean, we'll do like bucket throws during practice, the quarterbacks will, and he'll jump in those, and he'll be as mad if he's not making it as really probably more so than anyone. I mean, he's yelling at the bucket or something like that. He's just a very competitive dude, and I think that really drives him as far as him being a coordinator. He's not going to settle until he can make this offense be the best in the nation, and that's his goal. And so I think with him having that sort of mentality and that sort of competitiveness and drive and really having that chip on his shoulder, that's what he expects this offense to be, and that's how he's going to kind of call games and how he's going to formulate game plans so that we can achieve that. And I think that's just the mentality that really has been established in our program at this point, that the best is what's expected, and that's what we expect everyone to kind of be working towards. Yeah, no significant difference. I mean, the biggest difference is just the faces. That's really been the biggest difference. I remember walking out the first spring practice and really looking out and not seeing Kabinda over there, not seeing Marcus and Apke, guys that I've looked at for 2-3 years. Not having Saquon next to me or looking out and seeing Deshaun. I think that was the biggest difference. But he got through practice 3-4. It's and now you're used to looking out and seeing DeAndre or Nick out at safety, those kind of things. So I think that's been the biggest change, is just the new faces that are stepping into the roles.
Been the impact of the coordinator change.
Say
the impact of the coordinator change that Coach Ronnie.
Yeah, I think we're very fortunate that Coach Ronnie was the guy that was able to take over that job. Obviously, I'm extremely excited that he got that job with, he was the one who recruited me to initially Vanderbilt and now to Penn State, and kind of was one of the guys who got me here. He was one of the first guys to believe in what I could do as a quarterback. So I'm extremely excited to be working with him in a quarterback aspect again. But I also think that, he's been around this offense for the last 2 years. He knows what our offensive line does best, what situations get them into some trouble. He knows what our receivers do best. And I think him having that relationship and that knowledge, it made the transition very seamless. So it wasn't a new guy coming in that had to then learn, okay, what do I like best as a quarterback? He already knew that. So he knew this type of things that I liked, and he also knew the things he could do to try and push the envelope a little bit. And I think he knows that for every position, and I think that's been the biggest benefit, is that he knows us all very, very well.
Trace, how much does having experienced
Yeah, I think having an offensive line that is experienced and has played together and kind of is very cohesive in how they work, it really allows us as an offense to do a lot of different things. Any team, offense goes as the offensive line goes. And I think with us bringing back, we had played really 6 guys last year, so all 5 guys that we got right now are guys who have playing experience and have played together. It's an opportunity for us to kind of, do some things that you wouldn't really do. I mean, everyone wants to know, how do you replace a guy like Saquon? Well, obviously it's the running backs kind of taking some ownership, but our offensive line right now is taking a big responsibility and putting a lot of weight on their shoulders to make it easy on our running backs. And, I think having that kind of mentality up front and having those guys having worked together and, their communication is not an issue. They know what's going on, and I think that just makes it easier for us to be able to, again, like I said, try and push the envelope a little bit. Let's see, we've been blocking it a certain way, maybe try and do it a little bit different or what have you. So those guys having worked together and knowing what they can do, it's helped us out a lot.
You guys also have some versatility with the interior of that line.
Yeah.
How comfortable are you potentially eventually bringing your center as opposed to you guys work quite a bit together recently?
Yeah, I mean, those guys have been coming in and snapping during our 7-on-7s and stuff like that and getting extra work, and I think that's been a big benefit for us. Having guys that are really interchangeable like that, both of those guys being able to play guard and center, it allows us to be able to have some moving pieces and be able to try different combinations up front so that we can get the best 5 guys up there. And I think that's been a big benefit, and I think, Mike's been a guy who the last couple of years, he has been chomping at the bit. He's been fighting through things and continue to get better and better every day. And I think this is a year where he can kind of step into that role and be a guy who can be a dominant force up front for us, and a guy that, like you said, we can move him to center, we can move him at either guard, and a guy that really can be a big part to our offensive line.